All right. So what we're going to do tonight is take a look at the Astrocasts website. We're going to try and do some navigation. We're going to try and do some more interesting Twitch integration. Find out a way to do some token storage. I think we're going to have to do some sort of app for Twitch. And then maybe take a look at Pusher. I've never used Pusher before, but it's something that I've very much wanted to be using. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the Astrocasts website. This is the local version running on my local site. There's no navigation yet. It's just a single landing page. The only thing that was sort of interesting here is this little bit that integrates with Twitch. So I'm going to do a reload. There we go. So it knows that it's there, and it's going to start playing an ad, which isn't terribly fun. If there is no live stream on Twitch, it doesn't actually show anything. And the way that I'm doing that is by using some JavaScript here. So let's look and see. So anytime the screen resizes, we get the size, and then we try to recalculate the width and height based on the aspect ratio. We actually have to get the iframes to do that too. So that's a lot of fun. And it's doing something to actually get the width and height and all of this stuff. This is really pretty messy. I just wanted to get it done as quickly as possible, though. The main things in here are that it's actually looking for these events. So it creates a player for my account. So no matter what, it's going to create a whole player. Josh just asked what I'm working on. Right now, we are looking at the Astrocasts website. We're going to be doing some navigation stuff, adding some navigation to the site potentially, looking at some deeper Twitch integration, and then possibly looking at Pusher for sending some notifications. So if we go back here, every time the Astrocasts site loads up, it's going to try and create a Twitch player. Sets the volume, and then it adds these event listeners. And this is where the interesting stuff happens. What happens is that when the player becomes ready, we initialize the player resizer. This is going to make sure that as the screen size changes, if we go into, say, responsive mode, it's actually going to try and resize to keep aspect ratio. So this was actually kind of a pain to actually get done the first time. So it's going to be able to do that. So it needs to know when the player is actually ready, because it can't do anything until the player is ready. And then I have a couple of weird selectors for anytime the player goes offline and anytime the player goes online. So initially, the very first time the player becomes ready, it'll go offline right away if there's nothing there. So it adds the hidden class to the live video, and it adds the hidden class to the live video loader. So this is where you see the little dots animating. This is where those go away when it becomes offline. And then I remove the hidden class from the offline view. The online essentially does the opposite. So as soon as it comes online, or if it's online initially when you first load the page, it removes the hidden class from the live video. So this is what it's doing right now. Some of the things that I don't like about this are that it has to load the whole player. I think that might be a little heavy. It's also very dependent upon Twitch, and I don't necessarily want everybody to feel like they have to go to Twitch to watch this stuff. So what I'd like to do is see if I can get this sort of notifications from Twitch directly to some sort of webhook. And then use Pusher to notify the application that something's ready. So rather than jumping you straight to the player, maybe it jumps straight to the Google stream, or it jumps straight to the Facebook stream. That can be a user-definable option at some point. It would probably be just Twitch initially, but then I already have the links for visit Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook. People should be able to watch this on whatever platform they want. Not least of which because of, if you're paying for YouTube Red or something like that, you might not get any ads. Or if you're paying for Twitch Pro or I'm not sure exactly how the Twitch stuff works, but I don't think you have to have ads all the time on that. And that's on the viewer's side. So if the viewer has a special subscription, they don't get ads on some channels. So people should be able to choose these things, and that's kind of what my goal is. So I'm going to see how far we can get this tonight. So first, I just want to add some simple navigation, just so just because I want to have that there. I want to have a schedule page. I want to have a couple of other things. So I might not actually push that code right away, but I at least want to do that. Also, earlier today, I just did a navigation system. So kind of want to reinforce that stuff in my brain while it's still there. So I'm going to try and pull up the mockups that I have already of, let's see here. Mockups need to be not full screen. How do I do this? Too many monitors. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to try and move this over here, and let's see if that works. It did. Okay, so now if I go to Sketch, it still thinks it's on the same screen. All right, so I'm going to have to actually go, there we go. Put this full screen. This is what I ultimately want to have. So just whip this up in Sketch. I can add this hopefully pretty easily to what we already have on the main homepage up at the top here. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. So this is going to be some fun stuff with Flexbox. It's going to be playing some stuff with Tailwind CSS, and it'll just be useful overall because eventually, sooner rather than later, I'm actually going to need to have these features. I do see a couple of people in chat, so if anybody has questions along the way or just want to shoot anything out, why I'm doing something, or offering other suggestions, by all means, jump on chat and let me know. All right, so I'm going to switch now to the Astrocast project. Opening current window. Awesome. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is start watching the front end file. So we're going to do yarn run watch. Nice. So someone in chat just said that they used WebSockets, did some stuff with WebSockets with React PHP. I haven't done much with React PHP WebSockets, and to be quite honest, I was always kind of overwhelmed with the idea of doing something with React PHP and pure WebSockets, just so we can all be on the same page. React WebSocket. I think it was called Ratchet for a while. Yeah, React PHP. Yeah, Ratchet is the WebSocket implementation. Socket to me. All right. Socket to me. There we go. WAMP server. Yeah, so this. Yeah, so Josh is saying that it's not fun. Sort of my takeaway as well. There was just a lot going on, and I am actually a fan of following Taylor Otwell, and Pusher is one of the top. I think he had listed his top 3 services he's ever paid for, and so it sort of inspires me to try and take a look and see what we can do with this. It looks hopefully like it's going to be a lot easier to actually use. It is a third-party service, so it would be something that I would eventually have to pay for. The pricing for the channels isn't terribly bad. There's a sandbox free plan is what I was going to fire up. Yeah, so it looks like there's people talking in the chat channel about different implementations of WebSockets. So there's a lot of different options out there, but I wanted to see how quickly I could get up and running with Pusher and see if that would just solve my problem for me. The other thing is, as I've gotten older, I don't want to mess around with stuff as much anymore. So, there was a time when I probably would have spent a lot on trying to get one of these other services up and running and managing it on my own. But, if I can get, 100 connections and 200K messages per day for free, and not have to worry about maintaining that for a project that, hopefully Astrocast gets big, but if it's not actually bringing in a lot of traffic, I'm sure this will be more than fine. So I want to give it a try. There are other things, but that is what Pusher is. Pusher is a third-party implementation of some sort of WebSocket thing, I think. All right, so let's get back to where we were. All right, so I'm going to pop into here now, and I want to make sure that everything is set up right. So I'm going to check out the templates directory and make sure that, yeah, so we have our CSS already in there, so that's awesome. And we have app.js, and then we have some other things in here to get Google tracking. So we already have a lot of stuff already in our base template, but there is actually more stuff that would be useful. So we're going to start with navigation. So I'm going to add a nav tag. And if we go back to the layout that I'm looking for here, someone just said it's a wise way to go to use a service instead of messing around. It may come back to bite me. Yeah, it took them a week to get WebSockets up and running. So just looking at the docs made me feel like that was going to be the case. So I'm happy to see some validation on that. All right, so primary nav, I'm going to start with a list. And just for now, we're going to use the same ones that are in the mockup. So we'll do live, browse, schedule, live, schedule, and then forums and chat. So one of the things that I was able to do earlier today when I built this was get away with not using any JavaScript for this. I don't think that's going to be the case here, mostly because there's too many options. So forums, chat, forums. If we want to look at what I was working on earlier, podcast test, this was the site that we were taking a look at earlier, and when we collapsed the navigation, we actually hid this side of the application navigation. This isn't important stuff, and this mimics what's actually currently the live site as well. So test, if we once this collapses down, it's only going to show these things. So there's no hamburger menu, and I'm actually a pretty big fan of not having to do the hamburger menu if you don't need to. So that was good in that case. I haven't thought about Astrocasts navigation enough to know whether or not that's something that I want to worry about. But for now, maybe I'll just leave it like it is for now, and not worry about doing any JavaScript, because if I don't have to do JavaScript, that would be awesome. All right, so if I go and reload our test page here, and this is actually where it gets kind of annoying because it's going to keep trying to fire this up. So I'm going to look at the home page and temporarily disable this. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that. Let's see. All right, so looking for live screencasts, it's just going to continue to do that. So this is really fun because if I leave this in here, this is going to break my production site. So I'm I'm sure there's probably a better way to do this, but just for the sake of not driving everybody bonkers by having this pop up all the time, I'm going to leave it like this. Tailwind CSS has a bunch of helper utilities, and that's pretty much what its thing is. Everything is based around using the classes directly in your code rather than writing CSS. They have a way to write CSS, but it's not the default way to do it. So one of those is going to be list reset. And what list reset does is do the thing that you would normally do when you're trying to normalize your CSS and remove all of the extra little bits and pieces. So we're going to see a lot of these types of little classes happen. So let's see here. This navigation, we can add a placeholder eventually to hold the user. So we're going to do list reset and user, just so that it's there. All right, so everything's lining up. And now we're going to start playing with Flexbox. Flexbox is something that I'm still not super comfortable with, but it makes a lot of the things that used to be difficult a lot easier. So I'm going to, first of all, play with this as if this were a mobile navigation. So I'm going to pretend we're looking at it in mobile. And how do I want this to look in mobile? Probably am going to want a little bit of spacing here, and I'm going to want the URL. So I'm going to look in home for the Astrocasts logo. Yeah, so it's an SVG, and I'm actually using an SVG plugin from Twig. So it's actually going to look at the local location for the logo SVG and inline it. So I'm going to copy this bit of code to base. I'm going to add this in the first list item. And I'm going to say navigation logo. And run this. All right, so that's there. I'm going to do, I'm going to see if I can get into the CSS. So app.css. So apply width full. See, I called this primary navigation logo. Yeah. So I'm going to do apply H4. I think that might be what I need to do. I'm going to see what that does. That didn't do anything like I thought it would. Need to make sure that this is actually yeah, so that's right. Let's do width 4. I feel like I did this one other place. Homepage logo should be working here. So let's look at the CSS directly for here. Why is it not letting me? All right, enable background. So to have a width filter for SVG primary navigation logo. So why is it not picking up the style sheet? Because that's the next thing we need to look at. view source. And this is going to pull in a lot more. So it's primary. All right. So the problem appears to be that this file is not being read for some reason. So let's go to app.js. All right, so it's requiring app.scss. Now it's there. All right, well, let's see what happens. All right, cool. All right, so we want to apply height for. There we go. So now things sort of line up the way we're supposed to. At least it's maybe the right size. Let's try 3 or 2. I think maybe 3 would work better. So what these sizes are, we talked about it earlier, it was their scale. So if we look inside Tailwind JS, we can see that these widths are, so say 4 is 1 rem. And then these other values are little steps smaller than 1 rem. Then they have larger steps. So 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16. And we can go in and customize these if we want to, but we don't necessarily have to right now. These are just using the defaults. So when we say something like height 4, we're saying 1 rem. If we say width 4, we're saying 1 rem. If we're saying padding 4, that's 1 rem. So that's how Tailwind works. So we're going to go back into base again. So now this is working correctly, but let's see, what else do we want to do here? So we want to give some sort of padding. So we're going to do padding on the whole navigation. And we'll do class equals p4. So again, this means 1 rem. All right, so this gives us a little bit of room to breathe. Everything is still clickable. We might want to eventually add some additional padding around the elements themselves, but for now, we're just going to leave it like this, I think. The other thing that we had was on the mockups was kind of this little blur under. So let's go and say add another div and bump this out. And then let's add a class here. So class equals shadow. And we want, let's see here. I'm going to double check the docs to see. So we're going to go to the Tailwind docs. Probably going to end up doing this quite a bit, actually. Box shadow. So what I want is a shadow just below. So inner shadow, outline shadow, no shadow, shadow none. Let's see here. We might not actually be able to do the thing that I want. But let's try it. Let's just do shadow LG. All right, let's see. All right, I guess that works. So I'm going to leave it like that for now. I'm a little afraid there might be shadow that we can't really see on the edges, but let's just assume it's okay for now. So I would probably be pretty okay with this. I might say that I want another bit of padding below here. So I'm going to do class padding bottom 4. Let's see what that looks like. I think that might be too big. I think we might be looking for 2. Yeah, let's try 2. There we go. So I feel like that looks pretty good for the mobile navigation. So if someone hits the site like this, I think this would be great. So the next thing we want to look at is trying to make this responsive. So ultimately, what we want is to have the navigation spread across the top. So there's a few things we're going to need to do. First, we're going to want the navigation to expand at a certain size. So we're going to use large. So large is defined in Tailwind as 50 rem. So if the max width is greater than 50 rem. So we're going to do MD. And so the responsive bits use this size prefix with a colon. So MD, we'll do max width, and we'll do MD. I think that's what we wanted to do. And reload. All right, so it's not going to do anything if we actually use the selector here. We can see that it is actually setting the width correctly, but it's not doing what we're really expecting. Also, I'm going to change this to LG because I think that that's probably going to be better. So if we look now, LG makes a lot more sense, but it's not centered. So what we need to do now is center it. So anytime we're in large, we want to do center. No, we need margin auto. Sometimes forget that one. So this is just using standard CSS margin auto, and that gets everything lined up correctly. What we need now is to get these things to go where they need to go. We're going to use flex for that. So once we're in large, we want to enable flex. And just out of the box, flex does something somewhat interesting. So we see user here, Astrocasts, and this line is here. So if we hover, let's see, we click that, we can see that the ULs are the things that are flexed. Going to go into those ULs and say, when it's large, we're going to use flex 1. And this list as well. And now we have the flex boxes using equal width. But we want user now to float to the right, go to the right a bit. So we're going to use, actually, let's get this one going first. When we're large, we want to remove the bottom padding from the logo. So that sucks everything up close. Now they're all going to be the same height. And now we're going to actually say that when we're in large, this item also, Josh just asked me if I abandoned VI. And no, I haven't. I use it quite frequently and will probably continue to do so every once in a while. Sort of depends on the context. If I'm doing things within the command line already, it's easier to hop right into VI. If not, then I just stick to PHP Storm. All right, so what we're going to do now is create each of these containers as flex containers themselves. So in both of these cases, we're going to do LG flex. And now things sort of float together, and everything's lined up exactly like we want as well, with the exception of user here. It took me a while to figure out the last time I did this, which of these settings I need to use. So I'm going to go look at the docs again and see if I can figure it out more quickly. So Flexbox, we want the items to be centered. So these are already centered, so I don't think we need to do anything here because we're doing flex item center. Is that the default? I'm not sure. So what we need to do next would be to align the justify content. Yeah, so space between is what we're going to use. No. Need to align content. Let me see. Content end? I think content end might be what we need for the second one to send it to the right. LG content end. New. Justify end. There we go. So if we look at these now, the ULs are still designed the same way. It's just that now, as we add things here, let's say if we want to add, support, it's sort of floating it. So, yeah. So let's see. We have 12. All right. So let's go ahead and start playing with these a little bit more. Let's do class. We're going to do padding X. So this is the horizontal padding. We're going to do 4. Let's see what that looks like for live. That might be, actually, that might not be too bad. Let's do 2. And again, we should do this for large and higher. So let's do this. We could probably do something similar for these as well. All right, so things are starting to come up a little better. This Astrocasts logo for large, we need to account for the fact that we don't have this padding on there. So we're going to do PR. So P right is going to be 2. And this should make things line up a little better. So this gives us the basic outline of what we were looking for from our mockup with Tailwind. So this will be a good launching point for some of the other stuff that we're going to try and do. So I'm going to add this to Git. All right, so Git diff. All but that return. Someone mentioned earlier something about Git patch mode, so I'm going to use that because I think that's going to be a fun thing to show. Normally you can do git-a. Actually, no, index.html is by itself, so it won't matter. Never mind. I'll show patch mode another time. Let's do git add assets and templates base. All right. Let's double check. All right. All right, cool. The other thing that I wanted to do was kind of clean up some of the defaults that were set up before. So I don't really want these to be in their own directories. So we have index dashboard. I just want this to be dashboard.html.twig. So I'm going to just move it and rename it to dashboard. And I'm going to have to do the same thing for home. I want that to just be home. All right, that's going to require me to go edit the controllers. So we'll go to dashboard controller, and this needs to render admin dashboard index. And this just needs to be, well, just needs to be dashboard. Ah, all right, there we go. And even the nice Symfony plugin notices that that file actually exists now. I need to do the same thing for the home controller. So it's telling me this view doesn't exist. I'm going to remove this bit, and now home is just fine. So I'm going to double check to make sure that these still load as expected. No, so it needs the extension. Cool. All right, so I'm going to jump out now. And this larger view, I actually want to be a little bigger. Since I have a larger view, the only place that I'm going to have to really change that is going to be on this part here. So where I say that for large, the max width should be width large. I'm going to change this now to say XL max width equals XL. There we go. Now it has a little more breathing room. All right, so if we go back now to the list of things we want to do, we have the navigation done. So we can go ahead and check that off. I'm going to add this again, add and source. Oh, that was redundant. Did I end up committing index.php anyway? I did, didn't I? Ah, because it's renamed. All right, so I temporarily need to remove my hack. There we go. Return. Yeah, I need to remove this. There we go. All right, because I renamed index.html, it automatically added it to be changed, and I didn't want the change that I had in there to actually go. So git add templates. Let's make sure that everything in here is what we wanted. So we wanted to change the dashboard location, the home location, and we're adding another size to our nav to use the XL size when XL is where we're at. All right, so clean up template names, XWXL. All right, cool. All right, so the next thing that we need to look into is Twitch integration. So I'm going to go to Twitch and see what we can see. Actually, Twitch API. Here we go. Dashboard login. All right, cool. Neat. docs. Let's get started here. So the original docs that I looked at was just on embedding Twitch, and I was embedding everything. Wait, no, I wasn't embedding everything. I was embedding videos and clips. So this is where all of the docs came from for dealing with that Twitch player in JavaScript that I was taking a look at. So you could specify channel, video collection. I was doing channel because I just wanted to check to see if Beau Simensen was doing anything. But you can also use the same player sort of callbacks for video and collections and things like that. That's not what I want now, though. What I want now is to see the new Twitch APIs. One of these was deprecated. It's Twitch API v5. Supported new Twitch API deprecated, no scheduled removal date. All right, so we don't want to use v5 if possible. So we're going to try to use the new Twitch API. All right, so dashboard, sample code. Looks like we need to specify client ID. New Twitch API guide, reference, webhooks. This is where all the good stuff is going to be, I think. All right, request API votes for JSONP, login. Rate limits. Rate limiting is pain. 30 queries per minute. Okay. It's a webhook system. Allows you to subscribe to a topic and be notified. All right. Webhooks guide, just to get a quick idea of this. Use as follows. Stream is up or down. This is going to be the one that I'm interested in. Subscribe to unsubscribe from events. Getting notifications. All right, cool. And reference. Webhooks hub callback mode, hub topic, stream up down. User ID specifies the user whose stream is monitored. All right. So I would need to find out what my user ID is, I guess. Cool. Interesting. Okay, so I'm wondering if this requires you do have to authenticate. Oh, authentication none. Interesting. Subscribe to events for specific. It's the new Twitch API. Authentication none. Seems unlikely to me unless I totally misunderstand this. Huh. Get users follow. Example, hub topic URLs. So follow someone. So changes information about user profile. I don't need any of those. That's interesting. So let's see webhooks guide. Notification is sent within seconds of an event occurrence. Twitch takes extra steps to ensure. You submit a request to describe the event. I know. It's weird. I don't know why it says there's no authentication required yet. Hmm. Be authorized to access the resource request subscriptions. All right, well, we'll have to see how that goes. So apps and authentication, registering your app, getting a token, scopes of permissions, sending the token, validating requests. Recommend use. It would be really great if they just had an API token you could do without having to go through the whole OAuth thing, because that's always a lot of fun. Revalidating access tokens. It's only for login and not thereafter hours. They're all fun. Joy. All right. Let's head to packages to see what we have to work with here. So we got the Twitch API. So that's a login provider for socialites. Twitch API PHP. To check that out. It's possible that could be a good one for us. This one's abandoned. Wonder if this one actually say Twitch? Yeah, it does. Okay. Well, the idea isn't to, well, it would actually be nice to allow people to log in with Twitch, since Twitch is one of the streaming marketplace sort of things. So that would make sense. But for actually dealing with the API, I guess this one has the largest number of downloads that doesn't look to be specifically for something like Laravel. This is the Laravel one anyway. I want to see what this looks like, see if they're using something behind the scenes. Actually, no. This is probably doing everything. Yeah. So bummer. Guzzle, PHP unit. Twitch Kraken. Is that? Oh. So this is actually using V5. Well, this could end up being a bigger project than I had hoped for. Let's see, maybe they actually have release notes code. Do they have? This is a guide. PHP developer, Twitch. Hmm. All right. Let's make a Twitch API client then, at least for our specific purposes. Chatbots and IRC introduction. User login, scopes, user ID. All right, so let's go ahead and just make an app. All right, Twitch developer wants to access your account. Yes. Awesome. Okay, I'll do Astro. You receive the result of all client authorization. The next you must exactly match the redirector. You can set this to localhost. Okay. So we have Astrocasts local, so too many tabs. There we go. Let's do game integration, website integration. Cool. All right, so client secret, pass the token. It doesn't show me. Show to generate a new. Did they give me one? It's interesting. It looks like I just need to create a new one. Yeah. I might have missed something there. So, all right. So I'm going to add this to env.dist. I'm going to say Twitch. Twitch client ID. Twitch app client token. Oh, client secret. But I actually also want to enter this in for real. So we're going to do client ID and client secret. All right. Cool. Save. Now we don't need to save anything. Okay. So at this point, I should be able to start using my app. Let's see if I manage. Yeah, cool. So we have all the information we need. Let's start seeing if we can get this other stuff working correctly. So now that we have this, getting a token. So let's include specifying scopes. I use a server, so we want implicit code flow. But no, it does use a server. Server requests, so authorization code flow. And do I need a user access token? ID tokens, so an user given authorization is. I guess this is probably what we need. Get your app and allow to access resources that it owns. Associated with the user, they cannot be based with endpoints or require user. That's much what you Get client credentials, not user credentials, enable you to make secure API requests. I think that might be what we need, actually. So we should check that your app acts by submitting a request that should endpoint that's expire generated one. All right, so app access tokens. We need to use OAuth client credential flow. App access tokens. All right. Mm. All right, so this might be what we need. So let's take a look at. Let's look again at the webhooks. Application that introduces existing Twitter. User has a new follower. Subscriptions. Also, expiration time. New subscription. Make a new subscription with the same parameters. All right, so if we can use this to create that, we can try and see if we can do a post to create a subscription. We can do that with the books reference, subscribe to from events. The H was generated by secret and notification bytes. All right, topic user follows. All right. All right, so if we test this, I need to figure out. It's going to be difficult to test, actually. Okay. Yeah. It's going to be more complicated than I was hoping. But we might still be able to do it. So Redis, I want to get this installed through in the background here, because I think we're going to need to use this to store information. All right, brew source Redis. Cool. All right, so what we're going to need to do. Let's go ahead and try to create one of these. So create a post. Register, redirect URL user. Okay. V2. So client ID, we're going to get here. Client secret, we're going to get from here. Grant type client credentials. And scopes is a space separated list of scopes. So what are the scope options we have? Space separated list of scopes. User edit. I thought there would be more of these. New Twitch API. Channel feed. So user edit broadcast, user edit. View bits information for your channel. Huh. I don't think I need any of those. Let's see if we can get by without having any of those. Nope. Fun times. Cool. Expires token type bearer. So now we have an access token. Let's see if we can generate a webhook. I wonder how I can find my user ID. Twitch API. Let's just do analytics get user. I don't actually want to get users. I want get user. All right, so all right, so you can use login instead of ID. I wonder if that's true here as well. User ID, maybe not. So let's use this token. And let's do login equals. Let's see what we get from here. Okay, so user ID. So I'm able to get that, which is awesome. So let's see if I'm able to create a webhook now. So required queries train puppet. host. All right, so okay. Hook topic, okay. So client ID, equals 6. We're going to use actually, no. What's that client ID supposed to be? This is the client ID values. Oh, let's try it. Twitch Helix users. User changed. Stream up down. So streams. I'm going to try and not use the secret. Client ID. See if that works. Bad request. Not parsable. What did I do wrong here? Hub topic. Ah. Probably seconds. Valid client ID or OAuth token. All right, so I'm going to try client ID. It appears to have worked. $202. Okay. So it's actually trying to visit there. So let's find something like HTTP bin. Is this working now? What is the alternative? Let's see if this works. I suspect this isn't going to work, but that's okay. All right, copy to clipboard, and we're going to use this now. That's not working. Request bin. /log. All right. There we go. Go back to the logs. Let's see if anything actually showed up. All right. Last time I looked for one of these, I wasn't able to find one. Pressed mocking pricing. All right, let's see if I can do this here. Sign in with Google GitHub. And we'll call this Twitch. All right. Huh. Cool. So awesome. So what were we supposed to do there? So subscription verify response. Denied response. So we need to give the challenge back. So it did have challenge. All right, so okay. So we know that part's working, at least it seems to be. So we can try and build this endpoint. Let's use the maker bundle to create a new controller. We'll call it console make controller. We'll call it Twitch. Awesome. Its status is going to show us that it created a template. We don't want that. And let's go into Twitch controller. Okay. Don't know what we're going to do there, but we'll leave that for now. All right, so we know that we're going to go to /Twitch. And let's call this something meaningful here. So verify. And it's going to give us a request. Okay, query string. .challenge was the name. So the hub secret used to sign notification. The X hub signature header is generated by. I don't know what the. The actual body was empty. What are these bytes it refers to? Can that be anything? Let's see. How do we get the full URL here? I guess I don't need the full URL. That just doesn't seem right. See if they're doing anything here. API, subscriptions, authentication, channels, chats. I don't think this is doing anything with it. Let's see. Verify request. Webhooks reference. Webhooks guide. Confirm you must respond to the request with the challenge token provided in the query parameters and an HTTP. For example, see the expiration time. To verify payloads, you need to compute the hash properly. Encoding our character escaping, which is done automatically. You put this verify that the value of contact with header matches the number of bytes you received. All right, let's see if I can get the content length. I'm getting close to calling this a night. Half hour left. Hopefully we'll be able to get some progress here before then. It's content length. Secret was provided when you created the subscription. Twitch signs the notification payload using that secret. So I think that secret can be anything. So All right, so we got a second one here. Challenge. Awesome. All right, I think it was Shaw. All right, so it's going to be a hack. I just want to make sure that this is actually working. So we're going to do for say secret and notification bytes. So secret is secret and $i. So if secret to this value, SHA-256 defines, of course. See if this works. So is this yeah. Create HMAP. So this is an interesting one because it's not using, I guess, it didn't specify it was an HMAC, which I guess maybe it was implied somehow, but I wasn't aware of what was going on. So we'll see if this works. Let's go higher. Actually, now let's. It's not even kind of right. Let's see here. So HMAC secrets. Maybe these values need to be reversed for PHP. No, that's not the problem either. All right. Request headers, try get values. Hmm. Discovery, subscriptions, signature validation. Recompute the signature with the shared secret using the same method. Using if the signature does not match, subscribers must locally ignore the messages. Ow. Oh, okay. So this is what I'm supposed to return. I don't actually verify this request. So, okay. So the secret is what needs to go out. I don't have to verify this value. They are generating this value. And this X hub signature is 256 of the secret notification bytes. So it would use, they're keeping the signature and generating, they're keeping the secret and they're generating a signature for every response based on how much data was in the bytes or was in the request itself. So all we have to do is keep track of the secret. So challenge, and we need to respond with 200. So return text response JSON. All right. Response listener, HTTP response, default. Okay. So what are our options here? So really, what I ended up doing here was making this way more complicated than it needed to be. So this will verify Twitch. Verify subscription. And what I'll probably do tomorrow is build something that actually generates this request. Uses the URL builder, and we'll probably have to add a secret into here. So Twitch secret. And put that into Envy as well. And let's actually generate a secret here. Security encode password. Now make. So I'm going to take a look at Framework Bundle just to see how they do this. So Symfony. Framework Bundle. Recipe. Post install text. All right. Manifest. Secret. Asset install. What I'm trying to find is where in the code it generates the secret, app secret. So we go to Symfony. I know I've looked for this before. Secret. It's jumping out at me here. Extensions. Tour, architecture, secret generator. Symfony projects, Symfony installer. Update parameters. Huh. Thought it would be more interesting than that. Let's go ahead and do this. So we'll just try this for now. Oh, actually, this was in here. There we go. Cool. All right, so we have everything ready to go for tomorrow then to try to start actually implementing this. Thank you all for joining. Looking forward to finishing this again tomorrow, working on this a little bit more. Thanks.